Welcome, everyone, to the Leadership in Quarters podcast, the interview series, where leaders come to share their perspectives on different leadership topics. I'm Josh Selden, and today's guest is Payal Nanjiani. Payal Nanjiani is a leadership expert, executive coach, and author dedicated to transforming the way people lead. Over the past 2 decades, she has worked with leaders across the globe, from Fortune 500 executives to entrepreneurs, helping them master the inner game of leadership. As the founder of the Success Within Leadership movement and host of the Payal Nanjiani Leadership Podcast, she brings a unique blend of Eastern wisdom and Western practicality to the stage. Her approach goes beyond motivation. She focuses on mindset shifts and self-mastery that drive real, lasting change. Whether speaking to a room of CEOs or emerging leaders, her goal is the same: to awaken the leader within and empower people to succeed, not just at work, but in life. So Payal, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh. Such an honor to be here.
It's an honor for me as well. I know you have a passion for the topic of work-life balance and what exactly that is, and if it even exists in today's world. And that is a very big topic, I feel, in the professional world these days. So can we jump in and define what work-life balance is in today's world?
Absolutely, Josh. I think that's a great question to start with when we talk about work-life balance. So I would say it involves managing your professional responsibilities and your personal commitments. That's the idea with which we all have been in this entire corporate and business world. We have this idea of achieving a healthy equilibrium, I would say, between work and personal life, where we feel that if we can balance them well, it will minimize burnout, it will minimize our stress, and it will, of course, promote our better well-being. But if I look at work from my perspective and what I teach to these executives, I would say work-life balance means being able to actually give my best at work every day, while I have that space to recharge, while I have that space to take care of my personal responsibilities. And all of us have our own personal responsibilities. The definition can vary. So I personally believe that in today's world, I would say less about those strict hours and more about managing your priorities, managing your energy. And it shouldn't be something like you're counting the hours. Oh, okay, 5 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours at work, and now the next 7 hours is at home. You cannot be counting those hours. You just have to be present where you are. If you are watching a movie with your family, watch the movie with your family. I have seen people in the theaters, phone rings, or they will be chatting at work. They will excuse themselves from the movie, from the family, go out, take the call, come back. Then consistently they are thinking about work while the movie is on. That is not work-life balance. What I look into and what I teach executives is when I'm with my family, I unplug. I pour into that at that moment. That's balance. When I'm at my work, I'm not constantly thinking about home or the kids or anyone. So I think you have to be fully present, just where you are. To me, that's what it is. Work-life integration, I would say.
It gets rid of the balance side. And I think, like you said, a lot of people approach this and think it is a numbers game. And I've heard the 8 8 8, eight at work, eight at home, eight sleeping. And it's very static of this is how it must be. And
Very
that's
much.
it.
And can I just add something with
Yeah.
what you said, 888, which is very true. That actually builds the stress. 8 hours at work over, oh, now I have to be at my home. I cannot do anything else. What if work comes at that point of time? What if you cannot finish it at 8 hours? Maybe you finished it a little earlier at 6 hours. So you have to really be able to integrate it and make your heart the clock. Don't work as per the clock.
Because then you're always playing a catch-up game too. If you're at work for 8.5 hours and you lose that half hour at home, do you take it out of your sleeping time? It becomes very messy. And like you said, it's undue stress that in a world that's already so stressful, all we're doing is adding on to ourselves. Yeah.
True.
Now, what you said too was very interesting. This work-life integration as opposed to work-life balance seems like it's a very personal thing because I feel like not only do we put the stress on ourselves comparing ourselves to the allotted time we give ourselves, but we also compare ourselves to others and we compare our work life balance to their work life balance. But thinking of it as integration and presence and being aware of what we need to do both personally and professionally, this seems like a very personal approach as opposed to a generic approach like we treat it today.
Absolutely.
How should people go about striving to get that integration? I know you mentioned a couple examples, but what are some other approaches people can take to help better integrate their work life and their personal life to make sure that they are giving the proper attention to both?
I think one of the biggest things we should understand, Josh, is that we cannot separate work and personal life. And I think that is something we all are striving to achieve. This
Mhm.
is work, this is personal life. You are one person who's handling both. So you cannot make them as opposing factors. They're not opposing forces. You have to make sure that you make a conscious choice of how you are being present. In fact, taking it a little further, I teach at a lot of MBA universities, and I am noticing the Gen Z. So, whenever they talk about work life balance, let me tell you, they are already stressed about it because we've been telling them so much about work life balance. They've been hearing from everywhere. The Gen Z is already getting stressed out with this concept. So, I think somewhere with this generation entering now, we need to reframe what we mean by this work life. Like I told you, it's more of a work life integration. People felt it has to be a 50-50, proper split. But that's not how things work. What we need today is how are we managing our energy? Do we have the ability to bring our full self to work? Do we have the ability to be present where we are? So I don't think in any way work-life balance should be something where you stick to those old rule books. You have to begin to evolve it. You have to align it with your purpose. You have to align it with your energy, your environment. Go to a place like London, like I've been working in different parts of the world through my coaching. There's a very different life back there. At 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, they would shut work, they would go for a happy hour beer or something. So everybody has a different definition. You have to see what works in your environment rather than making it one general rule everywhere.
Going back to what we said before, it's tough to push your view of work-life balance on others because similar, I work in a global environment, and in Germany they have laws around how long that they can work. And so it's
Absolutely.
we need to make sure we don't create assumptions on others as well to say they're not working as much or they're not doing as much as I am because of their environment, what they're required to stick to. Now, how do you handle the generational differences? I'm glad you brought up Gen Z. And one thing that I have seen over the years is when you have this integration of the different generations within a workplace, you start seeing those assumptions. You start seeing those times where the much older folks who live to work and want to spend all their time at work, and when they're outside of work, they spend all their time thinking about work and answering phone calls. And it's like they wear that as a badge of pride. They see these newer generations who seem to value more of a balance, and they make these assumptions of this person's not working as hard. They're not answering my calls when they're with their family, and they start thinking negatively about these people. How do you handle those generational differences in a workplace with this topic?
I'm so glad you brought out this question. I was recently speaking at a college about this. Gen Z is a great generation, I would say, which is entering the workforce. Honestly, I work with a lot of Gen Zs. It's a great generation entering our workforce today. Now, yes, they do come with their own set of rules and how they have grown. Again, like I said, it's the environment in which they have grown. Now, if we don't adapt and we don't make our companies culturally fit to attract and retain this generation, we're going to be losing a lot of potential.
Right,
Absolutely. Now, what this generation looks like is, like you said, after 6 o'clock or 6:30, whatever is the time, they actually put that hold, I'm with my family. And
right.
best part is, Josh, if you've noticed it, they are upfront in saying it.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, oh, sorry, the phone was shut. There was no network. They're very transparent, very truthful.
Mhm.
I'm with my family. I'm with my mom. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. My mom needs me currently. I love that.
Yeah.
So honest and open. Now, what are we supposed to do as leaders? We are supposed to support that. We are supposed to help them understand. We have to handhold this generation. As much as this generation is great because it is adaptable to technology, it's in
Mhm.
the AI generation, they have loads of information and they are techie smart
Right.
more than any of us can be. And the world is going towards technology shift. which means we need more of these generations and the upcoming alpha beta generations to handle. If we are not able to handle the Gen Z, what are we going to handle the alpha and the beta generation? Absolutely, it's not going to be possible. Allow them to set the culture. Allow them to bring in the new culture in the company. Start learning from them and start teaching them. Let it be a good blend. And automatically, we will see the work-life balance is really getting integrated in everybody's life. So I think that's where we need to make that shift when it comes to the new generation taking over now.
That's very interesting because I feel like not only is the generation so adapt to technology, but technology is adapting with them. And the first thing,
Yeah.
as you said, that I thought of is them being upfront is great. Set expectations up front so nobody's surprised. But even something as simple I've noticed is like on the iPhone now, they tell you when somebody has their notifications silenced. And it's something that lets you know right now they're doing something and it's not always there. Maybe it's there for a 2 or 3 hour block while they're busy, but it's there. And it tells me that I can still send them something just so I don't forget, because over the years I'll get forgetful. But I send them something and I don't expect something back immediately because I can see that they're doing something else.
Yeah.
So, how do you bring the other generations along for the ride? Because I see you tend to sometimes have different groups of people in a workplace. You've got the leaders who obviously need to manage the company, manage the people that are coming in, and they're the ones that you'd think would have to build some kind of learning plan for the older leaders that are in the business. But then you've got the executors, the people that always just have their nose to the ground, getting the work done, and they're the ones occasionally that'll say, this is the way we've always done it. I don't like change. And now you're not just changing the work process, but you're changing their peers and the people that are being brought into the system. How do you bring them along for the ride as well?
Yeah, otherwise you're going to lose potential talent. I will give you a very real life incident that I'm remembering now. So this is one of my clients, and this happened just, I think, not even a year ago. And he's been a rising star in a Fortune 500 company. And he was having a lot of these different generation people working with him as a team. And he wanted to set the culture for being unstoppable, that all of us should be unstoppable. First in, last out types. He was climbing the ladder very fast, always said yes to things, always delivered. He wanted that legacy, that everyone should follow this type of a legacy. Now, to the outside world, he had it all, the title, the corner office, the perks, everything. But I know from the coaching inside, he was unraveling completely.
Hmm.
Sleep became so optional for him. Family dinners turned into missed calls and everything. His health took a hit. He kept pushing, just thinking that, oh, just a little more, just a little more. I'll finally have more time, just a little more. And his teams never resonated with him at all. And I also used to always tell him that you need to really not just slow down, you need to know how to integrate everything and maximize your energy for productivity, not your time. But he wanted to set this legacy that everyone in my team should believe that work is to be going on. A time came when one of the Monday mornings, he was sitting in the boardroom and completely blanked out in the middle of a critical presentation. Not because he was not prepared, he's a person who's always over prepared, just because of sheer mental exhaustion.
Wow.
And that moment became like a wake up call for him. So he took step back, he built his boundaries and whatever. Today he's very successful and everything, all of that said and done. What I'm trying to bring to the point here is with your question. Every time we do this and we say, no, this is the right way, this is how we want the next generation to be, the next generation is seeing your mental exhaustion. They are seeing your frustration. They are seeing that you are just pushing yourself, but you're not okay with it, but you're doing it because you are used to it. You become comfortable with it. That's what you have grown up with. At the same time, they are then taking a step back. We don't want to do this. We don't
Right.
want to work with people like this. You can think whatever we want. We are not going to work like this. And because we, as their leaders, are not coming a midway, we are putting the pressure on them, which is causing the mental exhaustion in the new generation very early on in their career. So we have to be very careful of what we are passing to the next generation and what we are passing to the different generations. There are people who are senior to us in the companies, they have a different way of working. There
Mhm.
are people at our generation and the next generation. So we have to make sure that we know how we lead with empathy. without chasing and without making others get mentally exhausted. That's what I would say it as.
It's so important to do that because a lot of leaders don't realize that our teams and our people watch us. And if they see that exact example, if they see that leader that they respect blank out in a meeting and just fall to sheer exhaustion, you said it exactly right. They start assessing if that's for them. They start picturing that this person is who they're going to become, and do they really want to become that person?
Yeah.
And you may not lose the people because they're now exhausted. You may lose the people even before that because they determine that they don't ever want to get to that point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In fact, earlier there used to be a saying that people don't leave companies, they leave bosses. Now it's like people don't leave companies or bosses, they leave for their own selves, for their own
Right.
mental peace.
Exactly. And so, how do you support them in that? So, I feel like as we've talked, we integrate work-life balance. The people that work for us, especially Gen Z, are upfront with their expectations around this work-life integration. And now we're here. Now I am a leader of somebody from Gen Z, and they tell me this is what I want to do to make sure that I balance bringing my full best self to work while also keeping my mental health healthy outside of work. The two things I think of is one, as a leader, how do I build my empathy and my EQ muscle to realize when they're not holding true to their expectations? If I see that they tell me they want this integration and they want time away from work, but really they're always still plugged in and they're doing themselves a disservice. And then once I see that, second question, how do I then help them as their leader?
I think individually this cannot be done because, like I said, I work with so many corporates. I don't see this being done individually. Every corporate has their own policies. So, just like we have policies for maternity, we have policies for sick leaves and demises of people and everything, we have to integrate a policy for work life integration, for mental exhaustion. We have to integrate those into our companies. Alone, a leader might be as empathetic as possible, might be understanding. Everyone today wants to understand others and at least try to understand others, if nothing else. But individually, you cannot make a big difference. You can definitely talk to the person. You can definitely make sure that you might just give them a day off or something as per whatever is your team balance and everything. But if you're looking at a bigger picture, Josh, it has to be a company's policy on how we are trying to make that balance. So there are a lot of companies these days I'm seeing they are giving time for mental peace and mental rest and no exhaustion. They are giving what we call as me time. In fact, my
Mm,
company also does that. We have this me time where I tell them that after every 2 or 3 months, just take that day off. You don't have to say anything. It's just your time. So
mm.
everyone has a different way of doing it, but it has to be at the company level. It has to be as an integration into the company, where whether your leader then is empathetic or not, you are still given those rights through the policies and through the ways that the companies have.
That makes sense because then all you're really doing is creating pockets of a
Yeah.
healthy culture, but not an overall organizational culture.
Absolutely. I remember in one of my books, it was the first book, I think, or something, I have written a chapter which is called Margin Space. That how we have to have margin space in our life. Otherwise, you're booked morning to evening to night. I know people whose parents had expired and they didn't have that space to actually take that day off and go. We are filling our calendars, we are filling up everything, and then we are not having that margin space. And I think that's very critical to consciously put it in your life.
Definitely. And I do think, like you said, different companies and different organizations have tried new things. One thing that I do appreciate that my organization has done and my leader has done is something as simple as blocking off time for
Hmm.
everybody in our plant at 5 o'clock and on, and then on Fridays, 3 o'clock and on. And this is saying no meeting time. Make sure you wrap up whatever you're doing and you leave. Because what we were seeing was that people were scheduling meetings at 5:15 and 5:30 that lasted till 6 or 6:30, and these people have been in the plant since 6:30 in the morning, and you really started seeing that burnout. So I do think there are a lot of opportunities that, as you said, the companies as a whole
Yeah,
can do as one big blanket help as opposed to your little pockets.
true.
Now, when the individual takes it on themselves to set those boundaries, how have you seen them do that successfully where people don't just ignore it? Because I do feel like we're still in the day in the professional world where if I have a time blocked off in my calendar, I still get meeting invites. I'm still quadruple blocked in areas because people just ignore what's sitting there. How have you seen those people set those boundaries, block off their calendars, and then stick to it and not succumb to the pressure of other invitations?
So I'll give you my own example as well as how I teach that to my clients. Myself personally, I don't wait for free time to show up because it's never going to show up. If I'm going to wait that, oh, someday I'll have the free time, like this client of mine, like I told you, he said, eventually I'll be free, Payal, to do that. It doesn't come. So I don't wait for free time to show up. I consciously make space for that free time, whatever matters to me to that. So for me, that matters my morning non-negotiable, which is my yoga and my meditation time.
Mm.
So it's non-negotiable. My husband, my children, everybody knows that we can't disturb or get into that unless it's a huge emergency. So that's a space I have taken. You have to take it. Nobody's going to come and give you the space in your day-to-day life. Otherwise, you're going to be on everybody's agenda every
Right.
day. So consciously, I take that time, I block it for 2 hours in the morning for me. I consciously put my calendar for my dinners with my family, come what may. We have to have dinners together at night. So that's again blocked. Just like you block board meetings, just like you block your investors meeting. That way you have to block your time for exercise. This is my time for dinner with the family. This is my time for yoga and meditation. Otherwise, what is happening these days, if you don't do that, there is something which is called bedtime, revenge bedtime, something
Mm.
of that sort, where people are so busy in the entire day and they are so tired by night. What would you expect them to do? You want them to go to sleep, but they don't do that. Instead, because they did not keep time for themselves in the day, at around 11:30, they will take their phone and they will scroll through the net and whatever they have to do. And then they are sleeping late at around 12:31. Why? Because they didn't get that time for themselves. And that affects your next day productivity. Like
Right.
I said, productivity is not time management, it is your energy management. Consciously put the time on your calendar.
Mm.
It happens by choice, it happens by design. Because balance to me is not about the hours, it's about the choices you make, it's about how you consciously design your own day. And then you can see whether a critical meeting has come up, where can you shift it? But I can almost promise you, when you do that, those critical meetings also half the time don't show up.
You're spot on. I call that my unwind time, where there have been times that I've had to work because of what's been going on. I get home at 10 o'clock at night, and
Mm.
normally I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, but I still need to shower and I lay in bed. And if I don't have that unwind time, that revenge time, then all I do is lay there thinking about work. So I have
Yeah, isn't
that
it?
separation that I need. But to your point, then I go to bed at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then I'm exhausted the next day.
Absolutely. And don't you feel that because you're doing it consciously, you have that space for yourself?
I do. Yep.
True.
I think one of the big things that I've taken from this too is that this is energy management, not hour management. And I know you've said that a couple times. And I don't know if you've seen best in class examples of this, but the way I've thought about this as you've explained a lot of this is a lot of people will manage their time off and just time away from work around vacations and things that they think they want to do ahead of time and not based on their energy. Have you seen any ways that people have gotten more in touch with themselves to really know I am not at my best? I am exhausted. I'm depleted. I need my energy regain day
Yeah.
and manage their time off that way as opposed to just on these vacations they want to take that are far out.
I see, vacations are not just planned for your energy. In fact, they also drain the energy a
They
lot
do.
because you're all the time roaming around
Yeah.
trying to the entire vacation plan.
Yeah.
See, the major thing, Josh, is that we have given off our energy like this out
Mm.
everywhere. So it's with the boss, it's with the people, it's with the economy, it's with our work, it's with everyone. It's with everyone who irritates us, our peers, everywhere our energy is. You have to take that energy and center it into you. Because the more you want to grow in the organization, the more you want to become successful in the organization, your energy cannot be diverted like this outward. You have to know how to bring it back to yourself and center it. Now, when you do that, when you center your energy and you keep it with you, you start becoming more productive. Your decision-making skills improve, your relationships at work improve, your entire mindset changes. And that is what is needed for success. If success was only a matter of having degrees and information and expertise, everybody would be exactly where they want to.
Right.
But that's not the route to success. To a certain level in the organization and business it is. After that, the entire route is completely different. So you have to know how to manage that energy. What type of self-reflection are you doing? What type of self-awareness do you have? I have so many clients in all my sessions. I will make them do this. Do you know yourself? What type of self-awareness do you have? How much are you reflecting? Don't come to me telling me, oh, my boss gave me this feedback. Have you ever given feedback to yourself? That's energy management. What battles are you picking up at work every day? I'm seeing people picking up tribal battles. Boss said this, she said that. What types of battles are those? Where is your energy going? Do
Right.
you really want to get your energy there, or should your energy be very focused and directed to the goals you want to achieve for yourself and your organization? So, energy management becomes extremely important if you want to really move ahead in your career.
Yeah, Payal, that is a very great thought process around that. And I think anybody who watches this, it'll make them think and reassess how they approach this. Because if we think ourselves as a battery, we're just like our phones,
Yeah.
we're at 100% in the beginning of the day. And the amount that we use it, obviously, it goes down until it's at zero and it needs to recharge. And just knowing that we need to do energy management and have that impact our mindset will help us, I think, figure out what battles we want to pick. We're not going to go waste our energy on these little things because we now realize that it will drain us and drain the energy we have for the rest of the day. It's a really great difference in mindset that I don't think a lot of people have internalized before. Before we go, is there any last comment or reflection that you want to give to the listeners?
Sure. I think with whatever you have asked, you've asked some great questions around work life and success. So, in one line, I would just like to tell our listeners that life and work coexist. They cannot be competing with each other. You are the same person at work, you are the same person at your home. So, bring your true self wherever you go because success demands much more than your expertise and your degrees. It demands you as an individual. So, work on that.
Perfect. It's a work life coexistence or integration. I love that thought. So, for everybody who joined, thank you. You can find this episode on our YouTube page at Leading Quarters. I will have Payal's information in the description area on this episode, a link to her podcast, a link to her books. I know you've written some really great books as well, and a link to any of her information if you want to either contact her. I believe you have a newsletter as well, I think on LinkedIn. I'll have a link to all of that. So obviously you can learn more than just this half hour block that we have here. You can also contact us at leadingquarters@gmail.com with any questions or if you have any other questions for Payal on our Instagram page at Leading Quarters. And you can get our normal audio podcasts on any of the audio platforms that we have for the podcast platforms. But Payal, thank you so much. I know I'm leaving our conversation thinking very differently about work-life balance than I did walking in, which is the whole reason I do these things. So I truly appreciate your perspective and everything that you brought here today.
Thanks, Josh. Your questions were very insightful and deep. So thank you so much. God bless.